How can the Wizards get back in this series? Will the Warriors lose at all during these playoffs? Is Isaiah Thomas the most fun player in the NBA to watch? The only question left is, say it with me, you win? Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown Podcast. We are doing a Wednesday episode, and I'm joined as always by Coach Dave Dufour. And we had a couple of really exciting games tonight, I would say, or at least one exciting game.
Yeah, I mean, that Wizards-Celtics game was something. It was exciting, but the second half was kind of exciting for all the wrong reasons. It wasn't exactly great basketball, but Isaiah Thomas was just amazing. Good grief, he was incredible.
I'm going to throw this out there because since you bring him up right now, I tweeted this out and I got like a kind of a tepid reaction, but I got to tell you, I'm more impressed with Isaiah Thomas's scoring than I ever was with Allen Iverson.
Really?
Yeah, I really am. I mean, now, people are like, well, recency bias. I'm like, that's so not it, because I never really enjoyed Iverson when he was playing. I thought, he was way too low with an efficiency. I thought he took a lot of just terrible shots to the point where it felt like a lot of guys could score that many points if they took as many shots as he did. And so it was always frustrating that way. And, listen, it is impressive what he could do at his size, but, compound that by another, 3 less inches maybe that Isaiah Thomas has less. That's I don't know. It's more impressive to me.
Yeah, it sounds like something you may have to do a breakdown on. After the success of the Chris Paul, John Stockton breakdown, I think I need an Isaiah Thomas, Allen Iverson. Who's the best small man scorer?
Wow.
Or small guard. We'll figure it out.
Well, let's just mention that briefly because it really is a good video, and I know we talked about it before, but it really is good. Everyone should watch it, which is the John Stockton, versus CP3. Go check it out on YouTube because it's really good, and you get a chance to. It's the love letters to John Stockton, by the way, and I want people to love it, as well as go and watch. We did a really cool breakdown today of the Houston Rockets threes. I don't know if you had a chance to see that. Did you see it?
I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I watched the game, and that was all the breakdown I needed.
I mean, 22 out of 50. Now, that's the thing. It's 50 threes, and it's interesting because we talked about this before. If you had an offense that could generate good threes, you take 50, take 60, right? If they're all good in rhythm and they're open and they're off of drives, whatever it is. Well, that's what was going on, right? I mean, they were all in rhythm. Some of them were tough, but a lot of them were just in the flow, quick, get up the floor, drive and kick, and boom, they were wide open. They were open.
Yeah, and it helps that they like to set up above the break, about 5 feet back from the line. And you have to guard him out there, especially Ryan Anderson. I mean, Ryan Anderson, when he's open, he's hitting those. So, he had a couple last night that were just from, the bench, basically.
Well, what I did, by the way, which is kind of neat, was I looked at all the makes, and I realized that LaMarcus Aldridge was in for 13 of their makes. He's on the floor. And 6 of them were off of one play that he was involved in that he gave up. So, more than half of the threes that were made while he was playing defense on the team were a result of his poor defense, and all on almost the same action. And it was fascinating to watch how, and a lot of it was, it was the screen by Anderson on the ball, and then Flair, he could not keep up on all that. And they're going to pick on him all series long. And the problem then you have is that you have Aldridge is not doing so well defensively against his team. Well, what happens when you have Powell in there or David Lee in there in that same role? I mean, it's not
just
as
bad.
Better. Yeah.
But Pop just refuses to play Dedmon, and I cannot wrap my head around it. There's something there. I don't know what it is. And Dedmon, I think part of the issues he was having last night when he did get on the court, I think it was he's frustrated. He's got to be frustrated by not playing. Especially, he has to know that he's better than Powell and David Lee. I don't know. Anyway, it's
no, that would you took the words out of my mouth. That was my point. Was clearly he was surly and angry from the outset. And I think we all kind of know, if we've ever played before, that feeling of like, for whatever reason, the coach. By the way, it might not be a very clear reason to him. I don't know if Popovich has gone to him and explained to him whatever the reason would be, and so he's sitting there stewing. They're getting hammered. Then he gets like the ultimate insult, right? He only gets time when they're down by 25 or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's out there playing garbage time. Yeah.
Yeah, and he got thrown out. It was weird. That was a weird ejection too, because Beverly was like calling him out or pointing him out for something at the free throw line. It was very, and you thought Beverly was the one who got the tee because he was doing something weird, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was on Dedmon and he was gone. I couldn't quite figure that out.
Well, yeah, and the ref looked right at him.
Yeah, at Beverly, right?
At Beverly, yeah. It was weird. Anyway, it was just a weird game. But the Rockets really look like they can win this series. I mean, it's going to be. I think the Spurs are going to have a hard time defending if Pop's not going to play his guys that actually are athletic.
Yeah, and they were good all year defending the three-point shot. So I thought, okay, and then look how bad they did, how bad the Rockets did in the first round. It felt like, okay, this is not a series where they're going to get off too much. And by the way, they might not ever. I now owe everybody a topless breakdown because they continue to shoot 42% from the field, from three. But and I didn't say when I'm going to do it, so I'll do it. I'll do it something, But. But that they could very well not shoot that way the rest of the series, and
it's true.
Some games.
Yeah, they might get cold, but even if they don't, they're gonna get. They took like 3 or 4 mid-range shots. Everything else was a layup, a three, or a free throw. And if the threes aren't falling, there was nothing stopping them from getting to the basket. I mean, Clint Capella had a really nice game, and Harden barely even did it. I mean. Barely did anything. He had 14 assists, but he didn't score a ton. He only put up 20 points. So it looks bad for the Spurs. It really does.
It does. I mean, there's no evidence. I couldn't even suss out even a couple minutes out of that game where I'm like, okay, there's something they could take from. And by the way, let's just compare, Harden to Russ. When you watch Harden play, and it's not just like this series or game one, he does it all the time. The way he scans the floor while he's playing, he actively looks to make a pass and set up a teammate for a pass, or it doesn't be a scoring pass. It's to get the ball moving, and it becomes so difficult to guard him that way, right? Because now, crap, he's passing, and then all of a sudden, oh crap, now he's aggressive, he's scoring. I don't know how to guard him. Whereas at least with Russ, there is not that subtlety. It feels like it's a different kind of attack.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. It's sort of like we talk about LeBron creating space with his passing. And James Harden does the same thing. The difference is I think James Harden might be a better passer out of the pick and roll. All right? It is a very specific scenario. Only because his ball handling is so great. And when you try to trap him, he's fantastic at splitting the trap. He can go high or low. He might be the best at going low I've ever seen. And this is where he draws a ton of fouls also. And so in the pick and roll, just because you got to honor the three because he's a high volume 3-point shooter, even though he had a little bit of a down year this year, I think he might be a little bit more dangerous than LeBron, at least at this point. But, I mean, LeBron is still, I think, the best passer we've ever seen. I think he's better than Magic. And I know that's sacrilegious for a lot of people, but LeBron can throw every single pass that is physically able to be thrown on a basketball court, and I don't know that Magic could do it. And that might be recency bias because I haven't seen Magic Johnson play since 1996 when he was Fat Magic. But anyway, the Rockets look legit. The Cavs obviously look legit. Toronto does not. I don't even think we really need to say much about that series or that game. Toronto just can't hang with the Cavs.
Right. They looked like they did last year, and when they were on their way to a sweep. And then, they came in there and they found a little something and got a couple games. But, again, there's no evidence. People might want to stick with the Raptors and say, hey, whatever. But there's just no evidence that's going to happen. And maybe it can, again, it could change. But, right now, I don't see it. And, it's too bad because Ibaka and Tucker were supposed to be key pieces toward that end. But you know, I don't know. I think you probably end up you would need them for a full year and change to like really get acclimated and really become a tight knit unit. You can't just throw them out there and then hope it works.
Well, you know what? I'd say that those two guys were responsible. Ibaka especially for them even getting out of the first round. So. Yeah. If that's a successful season, which I don't think it is after you go to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think that them losing to the Cavs again has got to be a bummer. And they're gonna have some decisions to make. Ibaka's a free agent, Lowry's a free agent, and they basically have not really a good path to a rebuild, but do you want to keep doubling down on this roster that just can't beat LeBron? I don't know. No. But so back to Wizards Celtics, which was just a really amazing game.
We just did a wild 10-minute ride, by the way, across a lot of different things, and insulted a lot of different teams and players.
We're gonna catch so much hate. Well, the Canadians already get mad at us. They say we hate the Raptors when. You and I, we were so excited for them to get PJ Tucker and Serge Ibaka that we said, wow, I think this makes them the second. They may have leapfrogged the Wizards as the second best team in the East, but yet they ignored that because I said that the Bucks looked like a better team.
Right. No, they wear their heart in their sleeve, and everybody's an enemy of the Raptors. It's crazy, and you're right. So and we're right back full circle with with the Celtics though. But the Celtics, by the way, now look like the best team in the East. I mean, maybe behind the Cavs.
Behind the Cavs.
Oh, and by the way, and the other thing about what you said about Magic is still wrong. Magic is the better passer. That's you.
I think that's you might be. If I have recency bias, you may have past bias. Although I guess your video with CP3 and Stockton may disprove that. I don't know. The listeners will have to watch the video and see.
Yeah, but I did do a video comparing LeBron and Bird, and I actually said that Bird was a better passer than LeBron. And so, in an interesting way, where I don't know if you remember, but basically it was LeBron makes the awesome pass like right on time. Bird threw the pass ahead of time,
so that the guy could meet the ball.
Yeah, and then Magic was better than Bird. So whatever. Anyway, this is for Twitter. This is not for our podcast. Now, so Celtics. This was the Washington Wizards. Was that their last gasp? Was that their last chance to get in the series?
The Wizards.
Yeah.
It's possible. The Celtics are supposed to win these two games, right? Like they're home, right? So they're supposed to win, and they were both pretty close. And the Wizards blew big leads in both games. And I mean, this game went to overtime. It took Isaiah Thomas scoring 53 points. Now, how are they going to do on the road? I mean, I think that in a close game, the home teams probably have a little bit of an advantage. I don't know. I just think that the Celtics, when they're clicking, they look so good. It's hard to count them out. But the Wizards do too. The problem is that the Wizards have to keep their starters in. I mean, they really need to play those five guys 48 minutes, to keep a lead. Anytime they bring the bench in, you remember the video of Russ at the end of the last series in the third quarter where they had the big lead and he was sitting and they had to call a timeout because the 12-point lead had gone to 6 and he was pissed and he's like, I'm going back in. Yeah, I swear they need to just. If Scotty Brooks won't just leave those guys in, they need to mutiny and just not come out of the game. Because
but he did. I mean, look at Wall and Beal both played over 47 minutes in this game, and then Gortat played 42. So, I mean, he is. I mean, Porter got 38, and he was decent in that game and made some interesting plays. So, he's kind of following what you're saying. He's not playing too many other guys. I think Jennings hurt them in his little time there.
Well, part of it is how they're using him. They're kind of having him spot up. Like when he's out there with John Wall, they're having him spot up. And I just don't think that's his game. I don't think he can catch his rhythm that way. Right. I think he kind of needs to have the ball in his hands. He's actually not a bad distributor. So I think that's part of it. But really, like, their bench just stinks.
Right. I mean, and Jennings came out. You can watch it. He was like almost manic. He was too intense, trying to press and then trying to do everything, and it was just not working. You could tell he was just everything was just going too fast for him. I don't know what the deal was. Like maybe this is as far as he's ever been in the playoffs before, maybe, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna really get into this. But it was a little bit of a meltdown down the stretch. I mean, certainly the Celtics took control of the game, late and then in overtime. So I mean, but there are positives. Morris playing pretty well on what was supposed to be a balky ankle I was surprised.
Well, I know how much you love conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Are we sure it's Markieff?
Oh, I saw that. What I thought the conspiracy was that he kind of was faking the ankle or something just so he could.
Oh no, there's no way. I mean, I saw the video, right? He definitely, Markieff Morris definitely has a high ankle sprain. I mean, it looks bad. The video does.
Yeah, right.
And according to John Wall, it's purple, right? But
what's purple?
Yeah, but the Morris that was in that game looked pretty good.
Yeah, but they play a little differently.
They do. Well, Markieff, he did block a shot. So Marcus Morris has never been known to do that. But he also knocked down a few threes. He was playing really well for a guy with a screwed up ankle. That he screwed up 2 days ago.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive. Although I'll give the NBA credit. I mean, they are the best when it comes to sports medicine. It's the best. It's the best league in professional sports when it comes to sports medicine.
Okay.
Except for soccer, because they have the can of cold stuff that they spray on the guys when they fake an injury, and somehow it miraculously heals them as the stretcher's coming out. Those guys are pretty good too.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, hey, whatever it takes, whatever works. I don't know. I mean, listen, that's as good of a conspiracy theory as whether we would land on the moon. And so we'll have to investigate. They should have just had Marcus in the stands or something. That way we could have seen it, but that did not happen.
He was in the stands for game 1, and that was the really interesting thing, is that he wasn't for game 2. And so, they've got matching tattoos.
Yeah.
Completely match. So it's interesting. I think we should do this summer. We'll have to do an NBA conspiracy podcast. We can discuss the flu game, quote unquote.
What? You mean the Michael Jordan flu game? He didn't have the flu?
He didn't have the flu. No. He was in Vegas the night before. He flew from Salt Lake City to Vegas. We'll talk about. We'll save it for that podcast.
He wouldn't. They had to help him off the floor from that. That wasn't because he was tired.
He was definitely dehydrated. He was definitely dehydrated. He had the man flu. He didn't have the flu.
Oh, I think he was. I don't know, because he looked that way in the beginning of the game too, and he would have been. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not buying that.
Eyes bloodshot. We should do an NBA conspiracy podcast.
Maybe he didn't sleep that night because he was sick. I mean, listen. How about? We should talk about Kobe moving boxes in his garage and cutting his hand. Now that one's a good one.
Hey, how about frozen envelopes and gambling suspensions disguised as baseball excursions?
Oh, okay. You're gonna stick with Michael. I mean, listen, I got more. I got Kevin Love doing knuckle push-ups.
Yeah,
we got Ron Artest also fell down the stairs in the middle of the night. There's a lot of those, and I'm sure.
Yeah, so we got to do a whole podcast on it.
Yeah,
I think it would be good.
Boozer too, right? Boozer with the bag broke his hand.
Well,
or something.
Boozer with the hair. How about that?
Painting on his hair. Yeah, lots of stuff to do. But all right, let's get back on task.
All right.
You can tell we're a little bit punchy. It's been a long week, and it's only Tuesday.
Yeah.
So all right, well we kind of talked a little bit about the Wizards. I mean, the Wizards and the Celtics and what's going to happen there. But you actually, you talked me into it. I could see a great motivational tool. Listen, we were right there on the road. Both games had it. Right, and they stole it almost. They stole it on the home, which it shouldn't happen that way. So I could see them, coming out and just overwhelming them at least in Game 3 and getting kind of back in the series. But this is going 7, isn't it?
Nah, I think it's 6. I mean, I think one of these two teams will win in 6. Coming in, I said it was going to be the Wizards, but I just don't know. Isaiah Thomas is on a mission, and I mean the guy. I mean, to put up 53 points in the way he did. I mean, he had 27 in the fourth quarter in overtime. And it just insane. And I have doubted him all year because, his defense is suspect. But I have to say he's won me over. I'm always nervous about small guards, especially in the playoffs. I just think that they're too hard, too easy to stop. The buckets are too hard. But he's out there making it look easy. he's too good. It's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because he had, he was scoring in all manner, and the other guys, the Wizards were trying to like get in fights with him, and then he had a beautiful double crossover pull up on Morris, and Morris he's like just staring at him the whole way down the floor. It was such a great moment. Like that's one of those underdog. Yes, it was earnest, and he wasn't talking anything, and he wasn't like swearing whatever. He was just sort of staring at him, and it was enough. And Morris, whichever Morris it was, wasn't looking at him. He wouldn't look at him. Like the dogs, they don't look at each other. Plus, he took 33 shots and he made 18. That's how you're supposed to do it. You take 33 shots, you better make 18 of them. That otherwise you shouldn't be shooting that many. And, just really an amazing performance all around, including everything. He only carried a few times. And
that's a great callback. If you guys haven't watched the video, Coach Nick did a fantastic video on Isaiah Thomas carrying the basketball. I highly recommend it.
And everyone knows me, knows I have a love affair with Isaiah Thomas. I mean, ground zero for B-Ball Breakdown is Isaiah Thomas versus Kyrie Irving video I did when they were rookies. And I know Isaiah. I got to meet him off of that and kind of connect with him. So I listen. I love Isaiah, and he just carries a little bit, and they let him get away with it. But so does everyone. So hey, no harm, no foul.
It's hard not to root for the guy, especially with what he's dealing with, like losing his sister, who today would have been her birthday.
Oh, really?
Like lost a tooth, and in this game fell and hit his mouth on the floor. I mean, he is tough as nails, man. Like to be able to do what he's doing, especially with that sort of pain. I mean, pain in your mouth is terrible.
Yeah.
And so, not just that, but also the emotional stuff and the mental part. I mean, I'm color me impressed. I'm gonna find an Isaiah Thomas T-shirt. Like he really has won me over. I'm now an Isaiah Thomas guy.
All right. Well, that sounds. I'll have to make a T-shirt to sell you then.
There you go.
Well, let's move on to the Warriors. I feel like we haven't even talked about them in a while. And
because there's nothing to talk about.
I did a video with comparing LeBron and Steph Curry's first round just to kind of hype everybody up for the finals, which you should also watch. It's a good one that came out recently. But and I wasn't even kind of comparing them. I just was sort of checking in. How did he do in the first round? How did he do in the second round or the first round? And look, they're going to meet eventually, I hope. Now, but tonight, the Jazz, they come in. They had high hopes. They're building towards something with this young team with a mixture of veterans, and the wheels kind of didn't stay on the cart.
No. The final score wound up being 106-94, but really it was like a 20-point win for the Warriors. It never felt close at all.
No.
It was 11 points. It was an 11-point game going into the fourth quarter, and then 2.5 minutes in, it was 20 or 19.
Yeah.
So this game, I mean, the Warriors, they led from the start to the finish. It was never even close. They came out running a little bit, then they looked sluggish, and the Jazz actually looked really good when they were pushing the pace. But I mean, I don't know what to say, what more I can say about Draymond Green, how good he is on defense. He had a great game tonight overall. 5 attempts from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 5 of 7 from the line, 17, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, only 2 fouls, and he was plus 19 on the game. I mean, he was Draymond tonight. And playoff Draymond might be the best player in the playoffs right now as far as like playing to his peak. He might be the closest to his peak of anybody in the playoffs right now. It's like him and John Wall and Isaiah Thomas, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because a lot of his stuff is on the defensive end, there is no box score measure for what he's doing.
Yep.
It's unfair. Someone actually was just saying, their bench is unfair. They got West and Iguodala and Livingston, and I quoted that tweet saying like as if the starters are fair.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
That's not fair.
Well,
the whole team is not fair.
Ian Clark is a really good player for them.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah.
They did a great job putting this bench together, and I know it's been crapped on all year because of the center situation, but, David West has been great. I don't know how he's doing. I mean, he had 7 assists tonight. They were all one-handed baseball passes. It was really impressive.
Yeah.
But back to Draymond real quick because I wanted to point this out, and I need to grab video of this tomorrow and put it on Twitter. But Draymond stopped a 2-on-1 on a dumb Steph Curry turnover, and he is the best in a 2-on-1 situation because he's does such a great job of taking that stunt toward the ball handler and being able to recover 2 steps back to either intercept the pass or to be there to block the shot once the primary ball handler makes the dump off pass. And he does this every single game. I mean, this is just, he is the best I've ever seen at that ever. Yeah. I've never seen someone who's able to do that way. And I don't know if it's just that he's just skilled and deceptive, or if his arms are so long that he's able to just do it a little better. But there's a combination. I mean, I could probably do a breakdown just on how he does that. Like, that is elite. I've never seen anyone even close to him in that scenario. And
it's almost like a football player kind of a play, right, where you've got to be a defensive back. But there's no question in my mind it's the arm length. I mean, that he can cover the entire key practically, right? I mean, what's his arm? His wingspan is what, 7-something? 7?
It's like 7'2" or something?
7'2". I mean, listen, the key is how wide? Is 12 feet wide or something crazy like
something
that?
Like that.
But so that's a step and a half, and he's covering the whole thing. So, it really is impressive. And, it's the heart and soul of the team. And he drives them. And a lot of times it gets him a little bit too close to the edge. But, so far, you're right. Like you had said that it might be, faux.
Yeah.
And it very well could be. You're right. I mean, the way I'm looking at this now, the Spurs, if they make it out, I don't see them beating the Warriors. And I don't know how many games they win. Now, the Rockets are the one wild card because it'll be a shootout. And I know that the Warriors are not going to be that excited to have to guard Harden.
Yeah. And the Rockets could score 140.
Right.
Which the Jazz cannot, the Spurs can't.
Right.
I just the math doesn't work for those two teams, and with the Warriors, they could
do it. Now the thing with the Jazz, the pace is just too fast for them. And so I would say, they want to try and run, whatever, and it's just not going to work. They can't play that speed, even if they wanted to. So they're going to have to slow it down and try and make it a half-court game. But, this is the one team, the Rockets are the one team you can't give 3 possessions in a row to. Well, the Warriors are the one team that you can't hope to control a tempo on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, also, the difference between them and every other great offensive team in the NBA is the fact that they do it on the defensive end as well. I mean, at one point tonight, there were 13 turnovers. They had 13 points off turnovers. Mm-hmm. So, they're efficient. When you turn the ball over against the Warriors, they make you pay for it. And so it's tricky, man. Like, I just don't see how anyone's going to beat them. I mean, and to me, it's not boring because it's beautiful basketball. And I'll watch beautiful basketball even if it's a blowout. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be a lot of people that say, super teams are ruining the league.
Right.
We're going to get that.
We've had them for a long time, so it's not like this is new. But, the other thing the Jazz should be very concerned with is that the Warriors went 7 for 29 from 3, the 24%, and they blew them out pretty much. So that's a really concerning thing because you're talking about on an average day, they're going to make at least 4 more of those. And the game's over in the fourth quarter, before the fourth quarter starts. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Quinn Snyder, he'll have to do some of that coaching stuff and figure out something. I think that I kind of feel like they might win one game in Utah. Maybe that third game.
I just don't see it. And this is not a knock on the Jazz. This is just how good the Warriors are. I really think that the Warriors are head and shoulders above the rest of the league. And until someone beats them, I refuse to believe that they will lose in the playoffs. Of course, this team could be beaten, but I think they're on the way to sweeping through the title.
Well, we haven't had that. Wait, let's see. The Sixers didn't do it. I feel like we've had one team do it, or no? That's a good question. The Lakers almost did it. I think one of those years, and the triple the three-peat with Shaq and Kobe. Right? Didn't they have a kind of a crappy year? Didn't have a great record.
The Lakers in 2001.
Yeah, they went like 15-1 or whatever.
They went 16-1.
16-1, sorry. But anyway, it's a good question for the trivia people out there. So I don't think so. You think it's a sweep? I think it's 5 games. And so we're all kind of patiently waiting to see what's going to happen with the other bracket. And yeah, it doesn't feel great. I think is the root of our issue with the Spurs right now the rotations?
To me, it is. I mean, like I just can't. I can't understand what Pop is doing, and I don't know. I don't want to be the guy who questions Pop, but somebody needs to. The Dedmon stuff is weird. Simmons barely being able to get off the bench is weird. Kyle Anderson came off the bench and played not much, but or at least when it mattered. But he looked good. I just can't get, like, why are these guys not playing in favor of David Lee, who's starting, Pau Gasol, and so much Aldridge. I don't know. I just don't get it.
I missed something about Dedmon had been starting, if I'm not mistaken.
He was starting for a while, and then they moved Lee into the starting spot next to Aldridge. And I don't know what's happening. Like, this is the problem, is that we're speculating about stuff on the court that could be an off-the-court issue that we don't know about.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or it could be a chemistry issue that we're not seeing. And this is the tough part, because we're not in practice and all this stuff. So anything that we speculate, we're literally just grasping at straws because Pop doesn't say anything.
Right.
Yeah. He gives you nothing.
Right. By the way, we caught him yelling at David Lee. I tweeted it out, and it went a little bit viral, where he said, "Sit your ass down," and really angrily, and when it started getting in his face. Very unpositive coaching alliance method in a way that I was very surprised. Usually you don't quite see him. I mean, I know he gets curmudgeon-y and he gets mad.
Are we watching the same Pop? Are we watching the same Pop? I mean, you've seen the Danny Green. What the F are you doing when Danny Green fouled in the game situation?
When? What year was that? Recently?
Oh, it's been a while. If just Google Pop Danny Green at some point,
I'll check it out. I mean, it was, but something about it was weird. It was, it was really angry. They were only down by 9 at that point. It just seems like it didn't help anything to do that there. And I don't even know if David Lee. I needed to go back and look at what he was really yelling about, because whatever the play just happened wasn't the play he was yelling at. And it was, I don't know. I think that's also what you're sensing, the desperation at this point. And he understands that without, this is going forward. It's not even just that game. He needs him to be on point, really on point, every possession here. You can't really waste any out here. And that's an interesting crack in the armor here, if that's what's going to happen. Because if he's already in the game 1, not down 9, doing that, then it's a problem. It's a roster issue a little bit, but you're right. They have some players. At the very least, they got to try it. And now the worry is they're going to be down, 3-1. And then he's going to start throwing out these guys, and then they're going to start playing okay. But it's like, what were you waiting for?
Yeah, it's too late. I mean, this is not the first time that Pop has had weird lineups in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen this before. Yeah. This is nothing new. I mean, with Tim Duncan being on the bench famously when for the Ray Allen 3. Last year's playoffs, I mean, how great would it have been to have Simmons on the court when they were playing OKC, like when you need an athlete out there. And so that kind of stuff, I mean,
no one's infallible. I know. I mean, listen, and then even the Clippers series, they ended up pulling it out in 7 games, but like the hack of DeAndre, ultimately was backfiring on them and letting a very thin Clippers team rest, and they weren't getting easy buckets pushing the ball and all these different things. So yeah, I mean, listen, but then there's the million other things that have worked so well for him. But we'll see. It's very weird to even look at in his direction. What's going wrong. But we'll see. Maybe he'll look at it. Maybe he'll hear some things and figure it out and get these guys in there. But you're right. There could be something up with Dedmon that we don't know about, that he's not playing in. But he put him in.
Maybe he's hurt. I don't know.
Yeah. He didn't hurt.
Watch him come out and win by 30 tomorrow, and then
we're all dumb.
Back to the drawing board. No, they probably won't.
Yeah.
They look slow and old.
I think we covered a lot of things. We burned a lot of things down so far.
We did. This might be the most negative podcast you and I have ever done.
All right, we need to go to like Jamba Juice, get some sugar or something, I don't know, and replenish our psyches. You're right. Something's weird. When you watch that much basketball that many days in a row, it's like something is it's like Fight Club.
Yeah, it really. To me, you know, the big thing is like the positive. Let's end it on the positives, okay? The things that we really enjoyed the last couple of days. Isaiah was amazing.
Yeah.
The Rockets were incredible. I mean, that was just, it was insane.
Yeah. The Warriors had some amazing give and goes. It just were fun basketball plays.
Absolutely. I mean, Ian Clark is the new king of the blind pig.
Yeah, absolutely. And then and David West as well. They were hooking up. You know, and it was frustrating, by the way. Okay, I don't want to go negative, but the defense is giving it to them too. They were extending themselves in a way that, like, they're just, you know what? Maybe they got to calm down. You know.
All right, now don't blame it on the defense. No, see, we're going positive. Yes, Ian Clark was taking what the defense gave him. There's the positive spin on it.
Absolutely, all catch and shoot. They weren't whatever, but so there's some good stuff there. And
LeBron is amazing.
And by the way, this Celtics-Wizards series should be awesome. We should be getting great games every game they play, however many they are. And so that's another thing to look forward to. So that's the one I'm going to probably enjoy the most in this round. Well, although I think that the Rockets and Spurs are going to be another one that's enjoyable.
Let's hope. I'm hoping that they're all enjoyable. You know, right. I hope that they're not all blowouts, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm not very optimistic about it.
Well, I'm hoping they're all as enjoyable as this podcast was. So, Dave, thanks for standing up with me and recording it. And we'll have it bright and early for you guys on your morning commute to wherever you might go to work. And thanks for joining me, Dave, and everyone else. Thanks for joining me. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Dave?
Yes, I am.